Welcome. We're in section 89 of the Doctrine and Covenants. It talks about the word of wisdom. So this talks about healthy things to eat and drink. Showing forth the will of God in the temporal salvation of all. Not so much the spiritual, but it does have spiritual promise. And this is adapted to the capacity of the weak and weakest of all those who are willing to follow this wisdom. Wine and strong drink is not good. It's not meant for the belly. It says right here, strong drinks are not for the belly, but for the washing of your bodies. Tobacco is an herb for bruises and all sick cattle to be used with judgment and skill. Hot drinks are not for the body or the belly. Coffee contains tannic acids. Down here it says the word tannin comes from the leather industry because tannins are used to tan animal skins. There was this one ship that sank, and when they searched it, they found these leather purses. They analyzed and found out that there were stomachs. They drank so much coffee that their stomachs were tanned and turned to leather. So here are some things you can eat and drink. The wholesome herbs in the season thereof, and every fruit in the season thereof, to be used with prudence and thanksgiving. The flesh of beasts the Lord has ordained for the use of man with thanksgiving. Use sparingly. Grains. All grain is for the good of man, and also the fruit of the vine, which yieldeth fruit, whether in the ground or above. And it says different grains that are used for different animals and for man. It also says mild drinks. Remember and keep these and do these sayings, and these are the promises. You'll receive health and marrow to your bones. You'll find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, even hidden treasures. You'll have energy. You'll run and not be weary, and you shall walk and not faint. And there's also a promise of protection. The destroying angel shall pass by them as the children of Israel and not slay them. In the next section, 90, it says to receive the prophets of God and beware how you listen to them, lest you account them as a light thing and are brought under condemnation. They're ordained of God to teach. And it says, this is a good scripture, to study and learn and become acquainted with all good books. If I could recommend a book, it would be The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I put the title in the description so you know how to spell his name. It's a great book. I just finished it. It leads a little into Christianity. It's a fiction. Concerning the Apocrypha in 91, there are many things therein that are not true. It's not needful that it should be translated. And section 92 talks about the United Order. In those days they called it the United Firm. And to describe it, it was like communism, in that they shared the wealth and properties. It all belonged unto Christ, and he would direct it. On Google, it says that it is a classless society, common ownership of property, and shared wealth. The last days, after Christ's second coming, is believed that he's going to rule the world, and it'll be like communism under Christ. Everything will be shared equally, and he will rule at the ownership of all properties, and there won't be favoritism. In section 93, it talks about John, St. John, the beloved, he saw and... let's go back. He saw and bore record of the fullness of the glory of God. And this is what he said. I saw his glory, and that he was in the beginning before the world was. And the Word, salvation, the light and Redeemer of the world, the Spirit of truth who came into the world, because the world was made by him, and in him was the life of men and the light of men. And other worlds were made by him, and men were made by him. All things were made by him, through him, and of him. And I, John, saw that he received not the fullness at first, but he grew grace by grace. Thus he was called the Son of God, because he received not the fullness at first. He received all power, both in heaven and earth, and the glory of God was with him, for he dwelt in him. If you are faithful, you can receive the fullness of the record of John. Alright, there's some other good scriptures in here that don't have to do with the record of John. This one talks about intelligence, or the light of truth. It cannot be created or made. All truth is independent in the sphere which God has placed it. to act for itself, as all intelligence also. Otherwise there is no existence. Very deep. Every man whose spirit receiveth not the truth is under condemnation. Man is spirit. Spirit is element, inseparably connected to receive a fullness of joy, because light and truth forsake the evil one. And the glory of God is intelligence, or in other words, light and truth. Bring up your children in light and truth.